Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Beer United Draft to Glory franchise mode here in NHL 26. So in last episode, if you did not catch it, we had some substantial growth from our team, and I am very excited to see how this team looks in the upcoming year. The main player that got a lot of growth, is Paco, which was an insane amount of growth that he's gotten in the span of 2 years. Like, I'll try and, if I remember when I'm editing this, to put up a screenshot of basically from a couple episodes ago. But actually, wait a sec, maybe I won't do that. Maybe I'll just actually tell you guys first and foremost how much he has grown since this franchise mode started, or since he got drafted, basically, because he has gone up a shit ton of points, and it's absolutely absurd how much he's grown. Like, he might be one of the fastest players I've ever had in terms of growth, but let me open up a screenshot that I took of him from his rookie season. So yeah, basically in his first, once he was drafted right away, so 18 years old, he actually only had a half a star on puck skills. Now he's up to 4-star, as you guys could see. And then in terms of his senses, he was a half a star. He's now up to 5-star senses already. His shooting category was a 1-star only. Now it's up to 4 stars. His defense was half a star. Now it's up to 3.5 stars. His skating was a star. Now it's up to 3.5 stars. And his physical was a half a star. Now it's up to 2.5 stars. So basically in every single area, he has grown absolutely insanely. And yeah, it's pretty nuts considering he was a 6th round pick. So I'm really excited for Paco. He had a really solid rookie season with 28 points. So I think eventually at some point in time, I could easily see this guy winning a Norris, as long as his plus minus obviously gets addressed, because right now, since we're a draft to glory team, we're still not very good on paper. So his plus minus was pretty bad, but I do think he's a guy that could win a Norris if our team starts being like above 500 and all that. So really, really impressed with the growth from him. I think there was some growth from some other players as well, like Andrews jumping up to a 73 was kind of nice. Aside from that, I guess maybe like guys like Hiroma's getting a little bit of growth, that type of thing. But yeah, this team is starting to come together, and I'm hoping with this draft class ahead, even though it's not a strong draft class, I'm hoping that it continues just to build up that depth in our lineup, so that way we could be a good team one day. Because I don't think we're going to be making the playoffs still for a couple of years at least, but I do think this team is at least trending in the right direction. So anyways, with that said, let's get you guys' comments, see what you guys have to say about last episode, and then we will get into the 2030 draft and offseason. So the first comment is from Mike Garbrandt, who says, team needs center, right wing, left D. I'd go with Rogers and play him in the top line and move Benak down with Law. And that's kind of an interesting choice, and I think a good decision too, potentially, is obviously going with the center. If we go to centers here and we look, he was saying Rogers, but wasn't Rogers a defenseman, I thought? I thought Rogers was a defenseman. I'm trying to remember who Rogers was off the top of my head. But yeah, it would be nice to probably move Benak down to basically play with Law, so Law gets a lot of growth. And then whoever the center is could play with some really good players and maybe get a lot of growth that way too. But he was saying Rogers. Where is Roger? Oh, maybe he means Roger. Yeah, he means Roger, because Roger Green. He should have said Green probably, or else that would have confused me, because Rogers makes me think of a completely different player. But yeah, Roger Green is probably the best selection. He's listed as 2 years out as a medium top 6. Meanwhile, the top 6 forwards that were supposed to go before him, like Walton, for instance, are actually listed as 3 years out. So I definitely think we're going to go for the center with our selection, just to basically build up that depth. And like he was saying, it would be a smart decision to put Benak on the second line, even though he is technically an 87 overall, because he could probably help guys like Law get a lot of growth within one season, because obviously more offense is spread out on that line. And then since we'd be putting the youngster with Klinga and also with Hiromis, that guy should do really well and get hopefully a lot of growth because of one season. So that's likely what our plan is. Hopefully the chemistry is good too. And then that way we're getting an abundance of growth within one season, not just like Benak still playing really good on the top line, but maybe he's helping get that second line better for this team in the long run. So I think that's a good plan. The next comment is from Tyler G, 1994, who says, Jared Law is the new sheriff in town. Can you ask him to change into a grinder? Also, Paco developed well. Gavapa also looked decent. Great pickup. Also, Pete in Czechia is from Slovenia, not Slovakia. Different little coat of arms on the left side of the flag. And I think I met Slovenia when I was looking at his flag, but maybe I said Slovakia. I'm not too sure if a few episodes ago I said Slovenia or not, but I definitely met Slovenia because I kind of know my flags when it comes to countries quite well, unless you go into like Africa, for instance. That's kind of like a giant crapshoot, for instance. But yeah, I definitely think I meant Slovenia, but I accidentally said Slovakia with that. But I don't know about asking Law to change into a grinder, to be honest, because I feel like grinders don't usually simulate the best offensively. I have seen some two-way forwards simulate good. Law was very aggressive in his rookie season. If you did not know, he basically had 20 fights in his rookie season. So this guy is a little bit overly aggressive, but I think it's kind of a nice thing to have on a team like this because he is definitely a type of player that could play nice on the power play maybe down the road. Also looks like he picked up some short-handed goals in his rookie season, so I think he's going to be a very interesting player for this team. Like, he could bring a physical edge, he could bring some offense when you need it, basically everything. He only had 60 hits, but he had 20 fights, which is pretty crazy. So I'm not too sure if he's going to be one of these type of low-elite two-way forwards that basically have over 200 penalty minutes in a year, but it seems like at this point, he's definitely our most physical player, which could be a little bit problematic when we get to the playoffs at some stage, but I'm really hoping that he could kind of, if it were in a playoff scenario, he could kind of take a step back in terms of his physicality a little bit. So, but yeah, definitely still kind of like his player type in a way. The next comment is from I Am the Quiet One, who says, Paco growing that much just proves to me he will be a great defenseman, but the question is, will he take over Dave Antonio's spot, or maybe try to make either one swap to lefty? In terms of the draft, either the center or the right wing will work, but I think you get another center top six. It may cause trouble in lineups in the future. And the first part of your question is kind of an interesting thing. I don't really know who I would prefer always being the number one defenseman since they're both right-handers. Technically, we could look and see if Paco and Antonio work with chemistry just as is, but maybe if we want to, like you were saying, we could try and get one to also add lefty to their position so it makes it a little bit better. I would probably, let me look at Dave Antonio for a second. He is a right-handed shot, same with Paco. I don't know who would probably be the better one to play on the left side. Probably Paco since he's offensive, because then that way he could get some more one-timers off and stuff like that. So maybe we'll see if he wants to add lefty to his repertoire, but obviously if he doesn't, we might honestly just keep them both as right Ds. And maybe Paco becomes that number one defenseman because he's an OFD, but Antonio is on a second defensive pairing that's more lockdown defense or something like that. Like, he could play next to a two-way defenseman maybe even. Something like that, but I do think right now Paco is maybe making a case for being a better player than Dave Antonio in the long run. Obviously, there's a bit of a potential difference, but there's a chance Paco could jump up to medium elite after one more season in the NHL just based on how he's been trending as of late. He said there also might be cause some trouble in the lineup if we do draft the center, which I don't really think so, to be honest. I don't think there's really much of a problem if we draft somebody like Green, because you look at our center depth right now. Mullen's technically being utilized as a left winger because he does not have good face-off stats. We should probably still ask him about becoming a left winger full-time. But I think there's not really much other problems with the centers. Like, Barrett could be more of a third line center down the road. Sazongoth maybe just appear on fourth liner at best. But Benak's always going to be probably either a second or a first line talent. So I don't really think there's going to be much issues in terms of the center core. And even if the guy that we draft, since he's only going to be medium six, even if he just stays as a second line forward, I think the ice time will be okay. And then we have one of those guys on each power play unit. I don't think it would be a bad thing. So that's likely what we'll plan on doing if we do go with Roger Green, which I think would probably be the best option. Next comment is from Michael Dose, who says, Jared Law is fighting the law and wins. Europe has the new marketing for fans, and a Paco goal will get you a free taco. And yeah, that would be an interesting marketing for fans. I mean, I don't know how much tacos they eat in Europe, but definitely if this was a Mexican draft to glory or something like that, it would make sense. But it would be kind of funny just to say, hey, every time Paco scores a goal, they get a free taco. So let's say that for next season, and if you guys could remind me on that, so then we could just like say for jokes or whatever that the fans got 17 tacos if he scored 17 goals, something like that. It would be kind of funny. Or maybe, and probably not assist based, because every time he gets an assist would be a lot of tacos to give out, but it would be still kind of funny. If there was like some Taco Bell promotion with this Europe team, even though I don't think there's Taco Bell in Europe either, so, but that would be still kind of a funny dilemma. The next comment is from Shankly Mania, who says, I fought the law and the law won would be a perfect goal song from now on. Those coaching changes really did difference. Those Paco attributes are just insane. Really interesting start to the franchise. Keep on drafting as you have, and we'll get to the cup in the 8 years or so. Next season, win total will be 18 plus. And yeah, that song that you mentioned is the perfect song. I thought I knew that song. I looked it up, and yeah, I definitely do know that song a little bit, or maybe it's from a different part of the song, but yeah, definitely recognize it. So it is kind of a funny one just because obviously Law fought a lot, and obviously Law won all the time pretty much when he fought, I would assume, just based on how grindy he is. So yeah, that's kind of funny on that sense. And the last and final comment is from Dylan Burrows, who says, 1152, my prediction, 12 wins, 25 points. So in terms of his prediction, I can't trying to remember how much wins did we have last season. I think it was 9, right? I just got to go back to the standings if I can at this point, which I don't know if I can because we're in the off season. I guess I can. How much wins did we have again? Yeah, 9 wins. So he was a little bit off, but not by much. We did have points in more than 12 games. So yeah, hopefully we build upon this season upcoming. I'm hoping that we could get to around 15 plus wins, but obviously the sim engine might have different things for us. Really depends on, I guess, the chemistry in our lineup and who we pick up in this episode. So with that said, let's hop into the 2030 draft, and we're definitely going to go probably with green with our selection, but afterwards I'm not really too sure who we're going to select, so we're going to obviously have to do our due diligence and look through every single league again, but I am excited just to see what we pick up this year and what these guys look like in terms of their faces and all that, because it's been like a fun thing looking at that every single offseason. So let's hop on in and see who ends up going before our spot, because Nashville and LA have picks before us. We draft at 3rd overall for, I feel like it's been the 3rd time we've drafted 3rd. I feel like we're always drafting around that spot. We always fall back a bit, but I don't mind it, especially considering these draft classes haven't been as good to us as of late, at least these last 2 seasons. So yeah, we're going to have to go completely off the board. And like I said, Walton would be a solid selection as a right wing sniper because we do need right wingers as well, like Mike was mentioning. But I think obviously Green being the selection just feels like it would make a lot more sense. Also, he's a playmaker, so putting him next to some good shooters like Klinga and also Hromis on the top line, giving Benak a chance to play on that second line and get guys like Law growing, I think will be pretty exciting. So yeah, we're definitely going to go with Green, I think. But hopefully he's the type of player that can get a lot of growth just because he's playing with some good people. So anyways, Nashville at number 1, what are they going to select? They're going to go with Kraus, who obviously sounds like he's a German, but he's an American. If he was a German, that would be kind of nice, but obviously since we don't have first, it would kind of suck, I guess, in a way. But he's on his way to Nashville as a right wing playmaker. So there he is. LA at number 2 is going to select Ristolainen, the Finnish centerman. So there is Mika Ristolainen. All right. Which puts us on the board. And like I said, Green is going to be a selection. But afterwards, I honestly have no idea what we're going to go with. So kind of excited just to see what else we could pick up here. But yeah, we're definitely going Roger Green here. His stats and attributes look pretty good. Offensive instincts, foot speed, offensive creativity. So I feel like he could be really good in his rookie season, playing next to Hromis especially. And then, yeah, he's got good shooting, good puck skills, good senses. His skating, his physical, and defense, not the best right now. So I do expect him still to be maybe at the highest since he's got a 2-year ETA, maybe a 67. But it's tough to say. Maybe he'd be a 68, but I'm saying a 67 or a 6 or a 7 just because all you friggin' young kids just like saying 6 or 7 all the time. But anyways, let's go with Roger Green from Switzerland. I know it's the most Swiss name ever, but let's take him with our 3rd overall pick. 67. I knew it. I'm really good at knowing player overalls when you look at it in a way, like at least when you see, I can't see it right now, I guess, anymore, but when you look and see like the 3 Bs and then you see some Cs, you're like, oh, he's maybe in the 65 to 67 range. Sometimes if you see a little bit lower, you're like, oh, maybe he's a 63. And I had that bang on, which is awesome to see. But there's his attributes just in case you guys wanted to see that. Looks pretty good actually across the board. Like his skating actually has some 80 attributes already. His passing's already a 78. His shooting's already like 77s almost across the board. So I think he could definitely be a pretty solid fit on that top line if we move Benak down to the second line just for this upcoming season. And if he gets a lot of growth, then we know that we made the right call for sure. So I don't mind that whatsoever. Who else in this first round could we have drafted just so I could see what they look like as well? Because I do like going back through the rounds afterwards. It was Walton. It was Pete. Oh, yeah, good old Pete. Walton, Pete, Gardner. And that might have been it, right? Yeah, Walton, Pete, and Gardner were the other three. So let's simulate the 34th. We'll call it timeout. And let's go take a look at Walton, Pete, and Gardner and see how good those guys were. So where is Walton, Pete, and Gardner? Gardner is the low elite one. So there's Walton. See, Walton could have been a decent selection, but he's 1 overall point worse. So if you see a 3-year ETA, you know that they're below a 67. If they're a 2-year ETA, I think they're 67 plus at least. So there is the other guy we could have drafted, the Polish right-wing sniper. We'll see if he ends up becoming better than our guy. Damn, Wilson was a good pick. I don't know who he was. I think he was probably American or Canadian, but what else we got here? Yeah, there's Peterson. Was Peterson one of the ones I just mentioned? I don't think so. He's a left winger, low elite though. Who is this dude? Michael Griffin. I was saying if he was Morgan Griffin, I would have been like, that guy is going to be really good just because of one of my other draft glories. But there is Pete, 65 overall. So yeah, he's pretty basic as well, but he does have a chance to become a decent sniper for the New York Rangers. And in that low elite, that is from Belgium. 65 overall defenseman. See, the reason why we didn't go for somebody like him, even though he's really solid, is because we already have like a lot of good right Ds. So it just wouldn't really make sense to me to draft this guy. But of course, Edmonton snags him up at 32. So the Oilers just continue to add really good prospects in those late picks. So anyways, what's this guy's name? Tony Fox. Damn, I was hoping this guy would be like a Tiny Fox or something. Because if it was Tiny Fox, that would be like one of the most epic names of all time. But anyways, let's see what we can get here in the second round. There is Kennedy, which is technically a right D again, but we could take him just because he's probably the best in terms of potential here. Like, I'd probably prefer him over a medium 9 for sure, even though this medium 9 is a 65 maybe. We do need offensive help kind of a bit, though, too. I was thinking about Bradford a little bit. Like, he could be a 65 around as well, but is he medium 9? Is he low elite? I might honestly go for Bradford. I feel like he could be a low elite just based on it saying medium elite. But watch him be a medium 9 just like guys like Paxpoo and all of that. I don't feel like we need the defenseman as much as I was expecting. If we go to our defensive core for a second here. Where could I go? Offer trade, even though we don't make trades in the series. I just don't think it makes much sense for us to pick up another right D like Kennedy. I know he's got top 4 potential guaranteed. But right now, like Antonio, Paco, Urquhart, Albatozer, Andrews maybe even. Like, we could use maybe another good right D. But they would have a potential that would basically wean them down to probably playing on the top 6 because Paco and Antonio. So I think even though that defenseman looks intriguing being a medium 4, I know I was mentioning him maybe in last episode as our pick. I feel like he's just another type of player we already kind of have. And he doesn't really look that crazy in attributes, so he might bust. He's got good shooting, good physical, but he's probably in the lower 60s. So I think I'm going to take a chance and go a little bit more off the board here and hope that Tony Bradford is a low elite right winger because we do need right wing help. And this will just give us more players to play on our forward group potentially next season or in the AHL, for instance. But I'm going to take a chance on Bradford because he's not fully scouted yet. And I don't think I want a medium 9. If I was to go with somebody other than the medium 9s, it would be the defenseman. So, yeah, let's take a chance on Tony Bradford from Denmark and hope he is a low elite. And he's a medium 9. Okay, so he's just as good as the other ones. I was hoping he'd be a low elite, but it is a solid overall for a medium 9, as he's a 64 overall playmaker. It's an interesting starting point. Like, I feel like he could develop nicely if we put him next to some good players. Like, he would be probably... I guess we could play him on the second line with Benak and Law. If there's... Actually, but Mullins technically on that second line. I mean, Yeah, maybe he would play more third line minutes. Tough to say, but I think he'll help us take more people out of the lineup that don't need to be in the lineup. So, is it a good selection? Not really. Is it a bad selection? I wouldn't say either. So, let's simulate to our pick at 67th. Of course, we're drafting at 67th because we always do. Let's go back through that second round. I don't remember who we could have drafted in this round, but Kennedy was a 65 top 4. Probably we could have went with him, but do you guys really think he would have been somebody we could have used? I just don't feel like he was necessary, to be honest. But maybe he could have been. Aside from that, there was a goaltender, Rohan Smith-Pelly. I don't know if that guy was from. We should probably also look at the goalie prospects just in case. Paxbu was also a 64 medium 9. So we pretty much made a pretty basic pick. But this draft class isn't super deep, it looks like, on paper. So, anyways, there's that. Wow, a medium elite sniper, 67th overall, 18 years old too. What the hell? This guy was definitely not somebody we could have taken, but Florida Panthers get the next best Booth in Florida. Obviously, I'm thinking of David Booth, but Cedric Booth. Where's the number 69 too? Medium elite sniper, though, going late second round. How did that guy not go earlier? That's insane. Well, shout out to the Florida Panthers because they won a Stanley Cup and now they've also drafted a really good player. All right, who's next on our board that we could draft potentially? Maltby. I mean, Maltby's kind of a little bit of a useful player just because he can play both sides. Who else we got? The Leech is a medium top 6 guaranteed. He also can play both sides. Interesting. Perron's a low 4 OFD. Sometimes low 4 OFDs are intriguing because they play good. But would I prefer a low 4 over a medium 6 at this point is the real question. Afterwards, nobody's supposed to go for quite a bit. Is there a goalie supposed to go around this point that we could draft? There's DeFazio next round. I think I'm going to go with DeFazio next round for sure. Because he could be an elite goalie. So, I think we're going to go for maybe Maltby. He's probably, yeah, he's guaranteed to be an OFD. I thought so based on the size. He's got 2 B stats, a bunch of C's. How about the other defenseman? We don't have a lot of time left to make our pick here. Yeah, I think we're going to go for the medium top 6. I know we could go for the low 4. I've had some luck with low 4s, but I'm going to go for Jerry Maltby with this next selection, and then maybe he could be a perfect top 6 pairing with somebody else. 64 overall, that's a solid starting point for a medium 6, so I'll take it. Not a high ceiling, but he's another OFD, so is he something that we'll actually utilize in the NHL? Because we already have Paco and Albatozer? Maybe not, but maybe he's more of an AHL guy for us, something like that, but we'll see if he ends up becoming a full-time NHLer for us. Like, if he outgrows Albatozer, he could replace him at some point because he can play both sides. So, we'll see how he develops, but he probably will be starting the year in the AHL next year just because Andrews is back in the NHL. All right, our next selection, let's actually go back through that third round again, just briefly. I don't remember all the names that I could have drafted, but I still want to skim through this. If you guys remember the names, then you guys can mention them in the comments too. Is this Mike Medano? Matteo Medano. What a name. Matteo Medano. You got to say it like that, like an Italian dude for no reason. That's funny. Leach was also a medium 6, 61, going to the Canucks. That was the French guy. An enforcer, medium elite defenseman. Damn, that's actually kind of sick. Shout out to Brian Brower. He's going to have a lot of fights with law, probably, if he makes the NHL. But he's already 20 years old. But an enforcer defenseman, I don't feel like I see those very often. Is this Stephen Colbert? Sylvain Colbert. Damn, that would have been funny. All right. And it's kind of funny that Colbert and a Fallon went in the same round. That's kind of interesting. And a Gagne went to the Flyers. This seems like a full-on meme series at this point. All right. Let's see what we got for our next selection. I think we're going to go with the goalie if he's still available to us because Raffle doesn't look great. He is 4 years out, which could scream elite. Ricky Ruchin is a cool name, but low 9. Yeah, I think we're going to go for the goaltender if he's still there, which he is. Since he's projected to go 125th, he's probably at least a medium starter, but he is 19 years old, so it's like, do we really need him that much? Probably not. But I think we need to still have goalie prospects just in case one doesn't develop. So Let's go for Eddie DeFazio here. He's going to probably remain unsigned for the year, but I want to see how good he is. And he is a medium elite goalie. Okay, that's huge. That is huge for us. I know he's 19, and he's only at 52, but that's the best potential goalie we have now. That's actually really good. That's really good. He is definitely the type of goalie that probably won't become an elite one just because he's a bit older and he's a low overall. But I think if we leave him unsigned for a year, eventually let him get into the AHL, like he could be in the AHL with the German goalie at some point. We have a lot of time to develop him, so I'm confident that he will make the NHL one day. But I'm really happy that we at least have ourselves an elite goalie from a country that we could actually draft from, because when we first started this year, the goalie was the big question mark for us, and now we might have our answer going forward. So I'll definitely take that. Who else is supposed to go in this round that we could have drafted, just so I could keep an eye on them? Raffle, Rochin, not really anybody else. Okay, Raffle and Rochin. Let's see how good those guys end up being. I don't expect them to be that great, but maybe they are. Let's see, Raffle and Rochin. Where are you? There's a Taze that just went to St. Louis. What's your name? Tyrone Taze. What a name. Raffle and Rochin. There's Rochin. Yeah, low 9, 59. Yeah, nothing really crazy. He goes to Vegas. Raffle went right after it. 60 overall, low top 6D. Yeah, I think we made the right selection for sure on that one. All right, let's make our next selection here. The next best player is a medium 9 sniper. I don't mind that in Rizzy. He's not looking very good on paper. Like, he's probably a medium 9 that will never develop. He is 19 years old. He's probably the best option because these medium 7, they probably won't pan out. Is there anybody that has good potential that we could draft maybe? Let's double check through this list. There's an Austrian that might be a low 6. Yeah, Rizzy's got to be the best here. He is a medium 9, which is nice, but I don't think he's going to be a good one. So Alan Rizzy is our next selection from Switzerland. And he is a 54 overall at 19. Yeah, so that's a really low starting point, but he might be able to develop into becoming, like I said, a good AHL or something like that. I just feel like every medium 9 that you draft late isn't very good. There's some medium 9s that if you draft second round develop, but this guy, I don't think he will, but I'm just hoping that maybe he will, so that's why I drafted him. All right, couple more selections left. Not going to focus really on the rest of this draft for the AI teams, but let's see. Klubertons is not looking that great on paper. Does maybe have a B stat, no weakness. He is 20 years old already too, which is not great. Salak's a low 9, he's already 20. Miller's a medium 9, he's already 20. Edgar Miller. He does have some B stats, so he actually might be a solid overall out of the gate. And since he's a medium 9, we might as well take him. There's another goalie that's a fringe starter, but we have 2 unsigned goalies now. I don't think we need a third, even though he's probably decent. Let's see. Yeah, there's not really much else. I think we got to just go for the medium 9 here, and then I don't know what we'll go with for our last selection. So I know he's 20 years old, but let's go for Edgar Miller. He might have a solid starting overall, so at least he might be a body for the minors. Let's see how good he is. 58. Not crazy. But at least maybe he'll play in the AHL next year, or maybe we'll wait a year and see if he develops more, but not a crazy selection there. In general, this draft class is probably worse than last year, so hopefully next year's is better for us. There is a Polish guy here that I didn't even pin, Lane Beck, that was playing in Russia. Might be a medium 9, might not be. Might be a medium bottom 6 like Locke. Dante Locke is only 18. Does have some B stats, which is not bad, and he's 3-year ETA. There's also Peter Kuta, who is 17. Looks way worse, though. I think we're going to go for Dante Locke. I know he's a guaranteed bottom 6 forward. Beck could be just a complete wild card. He is 19, though, already. So, yeah, I think we're going to go for Dante Locke since he's 18. And since he has 2 B stats, at least it means, I think, in my opinion, he's going to be in the higher 50 range, like probably like a 58 like the other dude was. So, yeah, let's go with Dante Locke with the selection from Austria playing in Switzerland. 62 overall, see? That's a solid starting point for an 18-year-old. He's not going to probably become an insanely good player, but he could be a good AHL level player. And that's what I would rather take at this selection than somebody that's not even going to make the NHL or AHL for that matter. So that is our draft. Like I said, not an insane draft by comparison to a few years ago, but Green should be exciting, I think. Bradford and all these other guys, kind of up in the air. Tafazio is kind of exciting just because he's medium elite, but we will never know if these guys develop until probably a couple seasons from now, I would guess. Or after 1 year in the AHL. Some of them probably will get AHL contracts just because that way we could fill out the AHL team as well. But let's advance to the re-sign stage here and see how much money we got to spend on players this year. But I'm really excited just to see what our team's looking like going into the NHL season. It's going to be kind of exciting to see the development. Like, is Paco going to be like an 87 overall to start next season? And how good is his offensive attributes going to be? That type of thing. We got to get back some scouts here. At least we don't need to replace our scouts really anymore because all of our scouts are pretty damn good. So let's just bring our scouts back here. I think there was 3 of them that listed, so there's one more. Oh, it was Toivonen. I think that might have been the last one already. I'm going to double check just because I don't want to lose any scouts. But yeah, I don't think we really need to replace these scouts anymore since we're at the stage where we have probably one of the better scouting pools out there. Let's double check and make sure that nobody else needed an extension. I think I saw 3 names, but I just really don't want to lose a good scout and then have to replace them randomly. So, yeah, that's good. Perfect. So, scouts are dealt with. Coaches are dealt with. Now we got to re-sign some players. How expensive is this offseason going to be for us? So, RFAs. Mullen is the biggest RFA. Okay, it's not going to be too bad. We'll definitely bring back everybody that we've drafted just to make sure the AHL is still filled out. I don't know why it's still trying to teach me how to play this game though when I'm literally in like whatever year this is at this point. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, we're going to re-sign everybody that we've drafted so that way the AHL is starting to become fully ours. And we can then let go of players that are just fillers. So we are going to probably let go of Lundstrom then, right? Just because we did draft him, but he's technically ineligible for this team. I don't know if I should. I probably should just hold on to him, but he might get scratched. So, Emerson. It kind of sucks, though, when some of the players in the NHL that you want to see develop end up just getting weaned out, and then they get stuck in the AHL. Masterliski and Reber, I'm going to give probably... I could give them cap whale contracts, but I'm going to still hold on to them for the minors, because I think these guys are guys that could be captains down there for a little bit. And Mullen's going to want 2A as well, I'm guessing. Yes, he is. Okay, nice. Goaltending-wise, let's see. Is there any goalies that are UFAs? No, there is not. So we'll just sign both Pochard and Whitmore, I think. Because if we go to unsigned, yeah, I think we got to wait on Forster and DeFazio. Like, for 1 year. Forster was unsigned already for a year. But I don't think he's good enough yet for the AHL level. And then DeFazio, maybe 1 year of unsigned would do good for him. So let's hold on to Pochard and Whitmore on 1 year deals. Just to see if those guys develop within the 1 year. But these guys might be getting replaced soon. So let's do a 2 year deal for Whitmore. That's fine. Alright, so all of our RFAs are signed. That was pretty damn easy. And we only have 2 UFAs to deal with. And we need to have $77 million in cap. So I should have probably given one-way deals to Masterliski and all that. But, oh well. Let's give max contracts to these guys. And we probably actually do need to still sign another cap whale, I'm guessing. Which kind of sucks. Actually, maybe once I sign my unsigned players, I might not. I don't know. No, we probably do need to still. But let's sign our unsigned guys. So Green will come on into this team. Bradford as well. I don't know where these guys are going to be playing, if they're NHL or AHL bound. But we'll come to that when we start up the season. Or actually at the end of this episode, pretty much, I should say. But yeah, I'm really hoping Green has a good rookie season. I think he's going to be in a really good spot to succeed if we do move Benak to the second line. Which might be controversial to some people, but I think Mike's really hit the nose with that idea. So we'll keep these guys unsigned for goalies. That's all good. And I think, like I said, we will probably need one more cap whale, unfortunately. So let's go back here for a second here, and we will go sim to free agency. And we will see if we actually do need another cap whale, which I think we probably do. And then we're obviously going to make sure as well that we do some off-season focuses on some specific players, probably like Paco, for instance. But Do we need a cap whale still on this team? Or are we at the cap floor? We do still need a cap whale. I thought so. All right, let's go back to free agency then. We're going to just sign another filler player. Kind of sucks that we have to do it, but I think we might have lost some people to retirement that were filler players. So let's go here and sign somebody that's not going to want an ELC, if we could even find one. Hopefully they all didn't get winged out. Let me just skim through this. Oh, there's one with that 1 year. Carbutali. What the kind of last name is that? I don't even know. Samir. Okay. We'll sign you up, and we'll just give you 23.6. Thank you. Now we're cap compliant, which is nice. And let's see here. Coaching staff is all dealt with. We are at 7 out of 8 coaches. We did lose our goalie coach, I thought so. So we might as well sign ourselves a goalie coach again as well, just to make sure our goalies are still developing well. So we'll sign up Roman Kalinka as our NHL goalie coach. Sign him up, $640K. And we don't need any scouts, I don't think. Yep, we don't need any because none retired yet. Usually they don't retire till quite late into the mode. Let's do some off-season focuses a little bit. I feel like guys like Klinga and Hromis, they don't really need it because the fact that they've been already developing good. Same with Banak. I think the ones I would prefer to focus on are guys like Paco, maybe like Urquhart a little bit. So let's get Paco. What was his weakness right now? I think it was his defensive awareness. But I do want his offensive stats just to keep on getting better. So let's keep on trying to get that offensive awareness higher and higher, just to make him an absolute machine. I really hope he has a really good second season. Like, I really wish I could simulate the next season already, but we got to wait for a few days. Urquhart, let's see what we got with you. You're a defenseman. What do I want to talk to him about? Let's try and just get his... he's already good physicality-wise, I think we said last year. Let's just try and get his defense to keep on improving. Just because it would be nice if he's a good lockdown defenseman. I did also want to actually talk to... Who was it? It was actually back again talking to... where is he? The guy we just talked to. Where is friggin... Does it disappear afterwards so I can't ask him about adding another position? Oh man, I thought I could have asked about another position. Let's just ask Dave about adding the lefty to his thing as well, or something like that, just to see if he could also play lefty. What? Oh, wait, I didn't want to do that. Oh, that's just to help him fit the coach. I forgot about that. That's at the start of the season. We could try and get them to play lefty and stuff like that. Oh, well. Mullen, I guess we will try and keep on getting his shooting categories better since he does have that top 6 potential. So let's keep on getting his shooting attributes better. Because if he can become a good sniper, he could be useful in that top 6 full time. I think everybody else is okay, though. Maybe Albatozer trying to get that offensive awareness higher. I know he is an OFD, but I would like him to maybe run that second power play unit a bit. So let's just keep on going up on awareness. And I think that's all I really want to do for focuses. I know I could talk to Klinga and Hromis and all the big guys, but I think they're growing enough already, so I don't need to worry about it at the moment. I could talk to Law, I guess. Yeah, I could talk to Law. But I'm not going to get him to be more physical, of course, because he's already physical enough. Let's just get him better shooting-wise. He did score a lot of goals this season, but it would be nice to see him maybe turn into a 30-plus goal scorer. So that's all set up and good. I think we're ready to simulate to next season, so let's go ahead and do that as Kalinka's on board as the goalie coach. And then, like I said, we will probably ask at the end of this episode to Dave if he wants to try out lefty, and we'll try and get Earl Mullen to play left wing, considering his face-off stats aren't very good. I think those are the only 2 players I really want to convince about changing player types, or not player types, positioning. I think everybody else should be fine. So, we gotta ask Paco about maybe playing lefty. But let's see what we got here. So we aren't going to still set a captain for the season unless you guys think it's time. Right now, Master Liski is still set as captain, but he's probably getting sent down. And then Banak does have an A, which is interesting. I'm trying to still think of who I really want as the captain. I know some people were saying probably it's a good idea to do with Hiromis just because he does have Born Leader now. So maybe he will get the captaincy, but obviously we have to still think about it. But goaltending, it's going to be Kavapo and Lysak. Lysak jumped to a 72, so 1 year of backup did really well for him. So our goaltending tandem is definitely better than last year. AHL looks solid as well. Defensively, Paco's up to an 83, so he did drop a little bit. Him and Antonio are the same. Albatozer 77. Andrews is 76. Urquhart is 75. Wow, okay. Our defensive core is almost legit. And then who wants to be the other defenseman? We're sending Lundstrom down for sure because he's ineligible. We aren't going to have a depth defenseman, so I think Bednar has to get sent down. So that way we have 3 righties and 3 lefties. But this defensive core is actually looking kind of interesting. Oh, Emerson's an OFD, though. That would be a lot of OFDs in our lineup. That would be 3 OFDs. But our defensive core is actually looking kind of nice. Kind of nice. Yeah, I think the rest of that's fine. Alright, so stuff is looking better on defense. Hiromis and Zaheshki, we don't need any depth forwards, so I don't need to call up 3 people. But I would prefer Bradford in the lineup probably over Veet in a way, but just because of the potential. So let's do ahead with that. This Koshrain already got sent down. Goddamn. Yeah, so there's definitely going to be people that were in the lineup last season that are back in the AHL just because they're dropped. I would probably prefer this Koshrain in the lineup. Actually, even Nichols. Nichols had top 6, right? Yeah, I probably prefer Nichols up here and Master Liskey down. Yeah, Do I prefer that? I feel like Nichols could still develop more in the AHL. You know what? Let's bend him back down to the AHL. Master Liskey could stay up here. Centers, Benak, Mullins playing left wing. We have Reber. Oh, wow, we have a lot of centers. Keller's in the minors. We already have 18 and 21, so I don't need to send anybody down. Alright, I guess we'll go with this. So let's go best lines and set this up, see what we're working with for our team. So we are going to move Benak to that second line. And we're going to move Reber down to the 4th line, I think. Mullen's going to go up as a left winger. Law's going to play right wing again. And yeah, Green's going to play with Hiromis and Klinga. Look, see, there's good chemistry on that line, so I think that could help out with growth a little bit. I'm almost debating about putting Bradford on that second line and then moving Mullen down, but I don't know if that would be better for him or not. So Zongot definitely could play 4th line minutes as well, so we'll put him there. Barrett is a center, so we'll move him there. Master Liskey could go 4th line. There we go, that actually looks better. That way we're prioritizing the guys with potential more. I think that's good. That's good. I'll go with that. Defensively, obviously, we have to think about this. Paco and Andrews. Does Paco and Antonio work? It does. All right. So we'll do Paco and Antonio then together. Andrews is pretty solid, but I would probably prefer Albatozer. And Urquhart, he has good potential, but maybe giving him a chance on the top 6 would be better for chemistry purposes. Yeah, I don't think that's bad. I think that's what we'd run with, so that way there's no minuses. Power play, we'd have Benak, Hiromis, Klinga, Paco. I am going to take Albatozer off the first unit again, just because I think he needs to run his own unit. Who do I want on the point? Hiromis probably on the point should make sense, which means I could take a new right winger here. Maybe Mullen? Yeah, maybe Mullen would be a good one to put on this first power play. I want him to develop if I can. Second unit would be... Actually, Law would probably make the most sense, actually. I didn't even think about that. Let's go with Law in that spot, then. And then we will put Mullen on the second unit instead. Just because Mullen deserves the power play time for sure as a sniper. Reber, Master Liskey probably don't need to be on the power play. And man, it just double shifted those players again. I hate when that happens. It's friggin' annoying. Let's go Albatozer in this spot. Oh, now it's glitching out a little bit. There you go. So Albatozer on the point with Emerson. Mullen playing. Do I want them with Master Liskey and stuff? Probably not. Let's get Bradford power play time. And Barrett. Actually, Green needs power play time. I almost forgot about him. So do we want Bradford really on that power play? Because that's a lot of playmakers. Probably. Yeah, that's probably the best option, to be honest. All right, we'll go with something like that. Let's actually put Mullen on the right side, though, so he's on his offhand a bit. But I think that looks good. And then penalty kill, we could probably just leave it with whatever the game sets up. Yeah, let's do that. Perfect. So I think this is going to be a good season. I mean, it's not going to be an insane season, but Benak obviously has generated an X Factor as well, which is Wheels. Klinga's generated another X Factors, which is also Wheels. I think our top line will produce well, even with a young Roger Green between them. And I think Benak could really help out Law and Mullen a lot. This third line is not really a lot of potential. It's a low 9, a medium 9, and a medium 9, but maybe Bradford and Barrett could develop nicely. And then obviously from a defensive side of things, Paco working with Dave actually is nice. We are probably going to ask Paco about playing lefty though. The second pairing is kind of nice. Brian Andrews is a two-way defender and Albatozer's OFD though. I'd probably prefer a DFD next to Albatozer, but then it would be a -1. So we could change that up if you guys think that's not a great idea, having too much offense on that second pairing. But yeah, looks good. Looks good. And in AHL, let's just make sure nobody is scratched that shouldn't be. Let's see. Rizzy needs to be in. That's the only one. Let's take Vito to the lineup. And we'll get Rizzy into the lineup. Yeah, perfect. I don't really know about ice time, though. Wakabayashi needs more ice time for sure than some of these dudes. Because he's medium 9. I think Koshrain's only a low 9, right? Yeah, he is. He's got a good overall, though. Locke was a bottom 6. Let's keep him as, I guess, a fourth liner. Sarich is bottom 6. Koshrain here's a bottom 6. Schmidt's a bottom 6. Miller was medium 9, but he's already 20. I guess that's okay to have him in the top 6. And then Keller could probably go down actually to the fourth line because Keller's not even a prospect really anymore. And that chemistry, I'm trying to get this chemistry as good as possible. Let's go with that. That's going to work the best. I mean, Sarich, even though he's a prospect, he doesn't even play center technically, so let's see. Yeah, we'll probably just keep him there, to be honest. And then defensively, at least the chemistry on defense looks not terrible. Let's go up with a little bit of potential. That looks good. Yep, that is all set up and perfectly ready to go. So the next thing we got to take a look at, obviously, is what the players that we just drafted looks like. We also got to take a look at the draft class. And we also got to ask those players about adding positions. So let's ask those players first about adding positions before I forget. So let's talk to Paco and see if he's interested in maybe trying out lefty. I mean, even if he doesn't, we'll play him as a lefty regardless with Dave, just because they're the best defensemen on the team. But let's go on ice play. And let's go position. And see... Wait, what does it say? We want you to... Yeah, it's still right defense, but can you play left defense as well? He doesn't think it's a good idea right now, Paco, but we will probably still stick him on lefty. It would be nice to get him to play lefty at some point, though. I could ask Dave, I guess, about it as well, so that way we can maybe put Dave on the left side instead. Let's see if both of them would be willing. Might as well. Can Dave add left side to his... No, he does not want to yet. Okay. Well, we'll keep it the way it is, even though they said they don't want to. We do also need to talk to a few other people. It was Mullen about adding left wing. I think he should probably be okay with this because his face-off stats suck. So let's go with position, and we'll see if he could add left wing. It says risky, but he will do it. He says, I could do that. Give me some time to make the full adjustment. Long term, sure. That's good. All right, so Earl Mullen recognizes that he's not good at face-off, so he says that he's okay with maybe seeing if he could play left wing as well. The other player, wasn't there another player I wanted to change player types to or positions? Can't remember who it was, though. Or if there was another one. Maybe I'm just dumb. Trying to think. I don't think there was. It would be nice to try and get some of these other guys to add other positions, like maybe getting like Klinga to also play right wing, Hromis to play left wing, but I think it's fine the way it is right now, so that's all good. Let's take a look at the new players on our team and what their faces look like, and then, like I said, we will take a look at the upcoming draft class, and hopefully there's some good, potentially good players we could take in it, so let's start looking at the new players on the team, which there's not really a whole lot of new players this season, I don't think. Urquhart was already there last season, so The first one, I guess, Tony Bradford, the medium 9. Like I said, I don't really know what the limit is for this guy, but he was a second round pick. Maybe he becomes something decent for us as a third line option, but Bradford looks, let's remove my face so you guys can see a little bit more in depth. Let's see what his face looks like. All right, pretty basic. Pretty basic. Nothing too crazy. His beard does go max though, which is kind of cool, but he's got some nice spiky hair. And what number does he wear? 46. Interesting choice. I like his skates though, having the yellow skate laces, so kind of goes with our jerseys a little bit more. So shout out to Tony Bradford. All right, next up, anybody on left wing? Nobody on left wing, which means the only other one we got to take a look at, I guess, is Green. The rest of the roster was here last season, so Roger Green, our third overall pick. Hopefully a guy that can maybe be a Calder favorite at the end of the season, but probably won't be because of plus minus. He looks like pretty basic as well. All right, no fun faces it looks like this year, unfortunately. But yeah, he looks pretty basic. His playoff beard does go pretty big, but nothing crazy. But he still looks like he'd be a pretty solid top 6 option. He does have a nice Sherwood like white stick. I like that at least. But he's definitely a basic ass dude. But shout out to Roger. Not enough Rogers out there nowadays. So there we go. So those are the new people on the NHL roster. We'll look at some more once they actually get to the NHL at some point in time, which probably might be a few years still. But I think this roster is coming along. I think it's coming along. Now the real question is though, what about the upcoming draft class? Is the upcoming draft class going to be something good for us? Like, is there going to be a player we could take actually in the top 5? Because we're not going to have a good pick this year again. Still, are we going to have a good pick this year again? So I don't really know what to expect. The last 2 years have been pretty barren for players from our countries that we could draft from. Before that, it was pretty good at some stages. Also, I do want to take a look at how Purrington's doing with the Islanders now, because I did see that the Islanders had an insane defensive core. I was actually looking in between episodes a couple episodes back, and I think they signed like Cale Makar and all that, so I'm kind of curious on how Purrington is doing with all those good players on that Islanders defensive core. But let's see if there's a player that we could actually draft this year that's supposed to go top 5. Let's see. The answer to that is yes, there is. Let's go. And it's a defenseman, Carter Lee. Carter Lee. He's the only one we can draft out of this early going, but he's probably a medium elite, maybe DFD. But it is nice that we do need left defenseman. Since he's only 5'10", I feel like he's an OFD, which is not great because when you have Paco already, you have Albatozer, you have Emerson. I'm pretty sure we have some OFDs that are in the AHL too. We don't have too much of them almost, but Carter Lee's definitely a guy we could draft, which is exciting. So we'll pin him. And now we're going to go through each individual league and see what there is for us that we could potentially pick up this year. So starting off in Germany, is there a lot of prospects in Germany? Not really. Only like 4 that are supposed to get drafted. So first is Thomas Hummel, who is also a defenseman, projected to go 3rd round. Interesting. There is also Bjorn Helmer, who is playing for Straubing right now as a right winger. There is also Leo Thalberger, who is a left wing, right wing. Kind of like that he could play both sides. He's only 5'8" though. God damn. And then there's also left wing, right wing Derek Bonvie as well from Austria playing in Germany. The rest of these guys are not supposed to get drafted, so that's actually pretty bare for Germany. But usually Germany is not developing as much as we originally anticipated. All right, what about Switzerland? Usually Switzerland is a bit better, I think. Okay, there's a defenseman supposed to go 2nd round, Spencer Jung, or Young, I don't know how it's pronounced. There's also a center in like round 4 or 5. I don't know what round that is. I think it's 5. John Pearson. There is also a left defenseman, Ahmad Crab. Maybe he's a mad crab, I don't know. I'm just thinking of an angry crab or something. There's also center Adrian Lees, who was supposed to go undrafted, but now he is projected to. And then that's pretty much it, because everybody here is not supposed to get drafted. So only 4 in each of these leagues so far. Not ideal. What about the Czech Extraliga? Okay, there's a late second rounder. Right winger Lubomir Nedarost. 6'3", 199. We'll pin him. There's also a right defenseman, Radoslav Halovic. Left defenseman. Oh, man, there's nobody afterwards? What the hell? Damn, Czech Republic used to be really good for us early on. I'm a little bit getting worried, at least with this draft class, but I really hope that we could get at least the person that's supposed to go early on. Because, goddamn, the Extraliga usually has a lot more than other leagues, I feel like. But, yeah, afterwards, like, Palmanville's not supposed to get drafted. So these are the only two guys from Czechia/Slovakia that are supposed to go. Damn, that's actually kind of insane. They're both on the same team, too, which is kind of neat. But, all right, what about Austria? Austria does have some more players generating. There is a guy from Germany that was playing in Italy, it looks like, in Norbert Niederberger. All right. There is also a center by the name of Duke Motzko. And then there's also this guy that's supposed to go undrafted. We might as well just pin them all, to be honest. Akers and Weidman were there last year, I think, too. But, yeah, the Ice League doesn't have a lot either. What about the SHL Liga, though? Because SHL at least should have, like, some Danish guys, maybe some Norwegians. So this could at least help us a little bit. The SHL does have some Polish guys. Raymer is supposed to go top 10, so maybe we go off the board and go with Raymer if we don't want that defenseman. But Gene Raymer's a center/right winger from Poland. There's also a left defenseman supposed to go 11th from Poland. And then there's a 19th overall pick as well from Poland, Jeff Ronaldo. So Poland is usually not like a crazy place for generation of players, but there's a good amount of Polish players in the first round this year, which is kind of exciting. I do not mind some Polish players. Aside from that, there is not a lot else. There is a German playing in Sweden. I don't feel like I see that very often. Manuel Schultz. That's kind of strange. Also, Langdon's from Poland, too. There is also a guy named Devin Bird late as well. So, there is some guys from... There's another Akeem Forster. Isn't the Akeem Forster I have a goalie, though? A goalie? I can't remember. I got to pin him as well just for fun, but... At least the SHL has some more prospects. And in Liga, there's obviously Lee, who we definitely have our eyes on, but I'm not too sure what he is. Aside from him, though, there is Corazzini, who's supposed to go first round. There is a guy that sounds Japanese, but he's Norwegian, apparently. Caden Nakamura. We got to pin him from Norway. Aside from that, there is also Bieksa from Denmark. So apparently Kevin Bieksa has kids all over the place. There's also Martin and Morgan. So I'll pin both of them. There's also Sexsmith from Poland. There's a lot of more Polish players than I thought there would be. Rocky Armstrong, which is a pretty cool name. There's also Damian Price from Norway. And Tsagas as a goalie from Norway. All right. And Zigomanis. Everybody else is not supposed to get drafted. Is there anything in terms of these other leagues or no? Russia does have some Polish players. There is a guy that also, once again, sounds Japanese, Tanaka. We got to pin him. Is there anybody else, though? There's another Polish dude, Nieuwendyk. What's with all the Polish players in this draft class? I don't mind it, but it's kind of insane. All right. Well, at least we're going to be able to grab ourselves the entire country of Poland. Rest of the world? Damn, I was hoping there'd be a rest of the world prospect, but... Yeah, not a crazy draft class again other than getting Lee early, but we could go off the board if we want to and grab Raymer or Smavy too, depending on how good they are. But Lee's definitely probably a medium elite defenseman. I feel like more in the offensive variety, though, based on his size, which, like I said, isn't something we fully need on paper. So I think that is basically all we needed to do. So that is going to do it, guys, for this episode of our Europe United Draft to Glory franchise mode. So in next episode, we will start up the 2030-31 season. We'll get it all simulated, see how good this team does by comparison to last year. Hopefully we could hit closer to 20 wins this season. And hopefully the upcoming draft class, at least hopefully we grab somebody decent enough to kind of fill out the roster more so. Doesn't look like the strongest class on paper again, but at least we should potentially have a chance at drafting a medium elite, unless for some reason our team doesn't finish dead bottom of the league, and somehow falls to 5th in the draft lottery odds. Like, we should draft around 3rd again, so I'm hoping we can get that defenseman, or if we don't get him, maybe the other guy that's a center/right winger, Raymer, could be good. But I'm excited just to add more good players to this team. So let us know down below, and I'll see you guys next time.